Eskom has reported 23.9 billion rand in profit before tax for the year ended in March. The significant turnaround represents the power utility's first profit in nearly a decade. Improved performance across its generation fleet also reverses the 25.5 billion rand loss in the previous year. Generation recovery has also seen load shedding drop to 175 hours, and Eskom's reliance on diesel fall, saving the company 16.3 billion rand. For more on this, I am joined by Professor Hartmut Winkler, an energy analyst at the University of Johannesburg. A very good evening to you, Professor Winkler. Thanks for joining us. Now, profit, improved performance, reversals of losses, generation recovery, and of course, reduced load shedding. This is all good news coming out of Eskom.
Yes, that's something one often forgets about, is that Eskom ultimately gets its income by selling electricity, and when they don't have electricity to sell, nobody's going to be buying it from them. And that's the situation we were in at the height of load shedding. So Eskom, as much as the public was really badly hurt by load shedding, Eskom were equally badly hurt because they simply, because they were not selling the same amount of electricity, it meant also that their income was going to turn out to be worse. And the other thing is that because there was this enormous public pressure to get themselves out of load shedding, and to when load shedding started to do something about it, it meant they were basically in crisis mode. And when you try and fix something immediately, it's going to be more expensive than if you arrange for something to be done in a week's time or so. So that they had these sudden breakdowns, forcing them to act immediately. One of the things they could do was to use their open cycle gas turbine power stations, which effectively use diesel, but that's the most expensive way of generating electricity. Yet they were effectively forced into doing that, as much as it was prohibitively expensive, simply because of the public pressure. And the fact that they have to do that much less now than they used to at the height of load shedding has also helped them enormously.
What can we attribute this turnaround to? You also speaking about, of course, also the decline in using diesel as well, because they were forced into it in the first place, but now being able to wean themselves slowly off that, and then also being able to, we forget, as you say, that Eskom's mandate is actually to sell electricity. They won't be burdening the state with quests for bailouts anymore as well, which is something that I think the Energy Minister, Dr. Newzroom Afrika, also alluded to in one of the conferences, to say that it's doing so well now, it can alleviate the state in terms of bailouts when it comes to that. So what can we attribute this turnaround to?
Yeah, I don't think it was ultimately anything very deep. It's just simply that they were in a situation. Most of Eskom's power is generated by their coal plants, and of those, a very large percentage were just simply not working. And so just by improving the performance of those coal plants by a little bit already made quite a huge difference. So there were various reports about the technical state of various power stations, some known to be worse than others, and those were then prioritized by Eskom for recovery, and just simply that those were breaking down more than they should have. So once they reintroduced a proper maintenance regimen, and so as a result, also those power stations then started breaking down less and less than they were before. So just a relatively small difference in those power stations, given that they supply about 80% of South Africa's electricity, already made quite a big difference, and allowed us to go from a situation where we sometimes went to stage 6 load shedding down to something much more manageable, until eventually we are now in a situation where load shedding is the exception, and we haven't had it for quite a while. So.
Notwithstanding the hard-working people behind the scenes at Eskom as well, but when we're looking at Eskom's management as well, and also the Minister of Electricity and Energy, when that announcement was made, I remember a few critical South Africans making a bit of a mockery of that, saying, oh, well, we don't need another minister. But with all these efforts of having a ministry that's dedicated to this, and having this specific minister as well, having this management team, having this board as well, led by Mteto Nyati. This all coming together, can we say that, you know, it's obviously attributed to these changes as well?
A lot of these factors added up, and I must say that Minister Ramokgopa has been very good. I think he's going to be one of the people that's going to get the highest scores as far as performance is concerned. And I think the only thing he really did different is that he showed some faith in Eskom. He visited their power stations more often. I think it was good for morale, because ultimately Eskom has been saved by themselves. They always had the people there that could do the job. It's just that for a variety of reasons, they weren't able to operate at their ideal capacity. So just to have that little bit of support from the outside, somebody who seemed to understand them and seemed to want to share their problems with them, already made quite a difference. Where in the past, Eskom would just regularly just get a tongue lashing from the minister and saying that they don't know what they're doing, and give it to somebody else and we'll fix it in no time. And it just simply doesn't work like that. Eskom is too complicated an organization, and it slipped quite badly over the years, and it needed some time to recover. But ultimately, the people themselves in Eskom were able to bring their best side forward and show that they ultimately had the capacity of sorting it out by themselves.
Yeah, and Professor Winkler, just before I let you go, and briefly, you know, one thing that could be a thorn in Eskom's heel, the municipal debt at tens of billions of rands, and it keeps increasing as well. How will this affect this turnaround that's happening there?
Yeah, that is really the main problem at the moment, is that Eskom is and part of the reason for that is that the electricity fees keep on going up, and Eskom's just managed to show that NERSA didn't do their calculation correctly, so they're probably going to get even more of an increase than they had expected for this year. Ultimately, what that's going to do, though, is the electricity increases are always going to lead to customers looking for alternative solutions. And we've already seen this in South Africa. One of the reasons why Eskom was able to deal with load shedding fairly effectively over the last year or so is because the demand for electricity is not quite as high as it used to be anymore. And the reason for that is that so many people or small corporations or other units have moved on to solar rooftop. So as a result, that's made quite a difference. It's also helped Eskom that they've managed to finally finish Kusile power station and fix some of the long-term breakages they've had at Medupi and other stations. So that's helped them as well. They're still dealing with the Kuberg upgrade, which hasn't been finished yet, and there seem to be issues there around there. But ultimately those sort of things, most of the things that they managed to handle relatively well up to this point. But yeah.
Well, kudos to Eskom for now. Well, thank you so much, Professor, for joining us and just unpacking this with us. That was Professor Hartmut Winkler, an energy analyst at the University of Johannesburg.